Niagara 124, your source for news, entertainment, food, and jibber-jabber. Put on your thinking caps, grab all of your avocado toast, and prepare for your debriefing on current events. This week on Niagara 124, it's a battlefront, Star Wars Battlefront 2. What was EA Sports thinking? This is a terrible mistake. The world as we know is going to end. All this and more on 124. Hello, everybody! How is everyone doing on this fabulous Friday, November 17th, 2017? As always, on Niagara 124, I am Nico.
I'm Bobby.
I'm Joe.
Justice League.
I just had to do with that Batman voice.
That was bad.
Because, yeah, I haven't
Batman,
heard
I
good
thought
things
that
about
was
See Justice
bad,
League?
man.
I haven't-
Did you see Justice League?
I have
Go
not
ahead.
seen Justice
no.
League yet.
Ooh, I haven't seen it.
I don't trust Ben Affleck as Batman.
I don't trust anyone as anything.
Hasn't gotten good reviews.
No, because DC doesn't know. DC's constantly trying to follow Marvel, so they don't really put as much planning or effort into their movies.
Did you hear about the controversy surrounding Justice League?
Oh, what happened?
And it's not really a controversy, but the issue is, so the Amazons are in it, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Wonder Woman and the
Okay,
Amazons.
so here's the deal with if you look at Wonder Woman, which was actually a really good movie.
It's good. I recommend
really
it.
good movie.
It's a good movie. I recommend.
And someone was trying to justify it. They're like, well, if you look at their training armor, it's skimpy, but the training armor is made out of leather and it's just training armor. The actual, some of the, like, heavier battle armor worn in Justice League by the Amazons is just, like, a bikini and, like, full midriff showing and no armor, even though they were supposed to wear full plate armor. And in some scenes in the like Justice League, some of them are wearing full plate armor, but other times they're just wearing really skimpy, over-sexualized outfits because...
I don't think it's a big deal.
Costume
I don't really...
Well, it just pointed a difference because the costume designer on Wonder Woman was a woman, and the costume designer on Justice League was a man who spent, and this is why everyone's very confused, spent extra money to remake all of the Amazon costumes. You had all the ones left over from Wonder Woman. Nothing should have changed, and he had them all remade and spent a ton of extra money to make them tacky.
I feel like the originals.
I mean, it's not really that big of a deal to me because I don't really think it's that big of a deal, but I mean, it's the creative decision of the person in charge, so it's up to them if they want to have that in the film.
I feel like the originals are fine because, you know, all high-end RPG female armor is skimpy. So if you get shot by, like, an arrow or something, it'll be fine.
Have you ever
because it has
seen-
magic. You don't know it has magic powers that even though you're fully exposed in certain areas,
have you
apparently
ever seen
it works.
the logic of why even in full armor female breastplates shouldn't be contoured to the breasts? Have you ever heard about that?
No.
So the whole point of armor is to deflect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you're deflecting and it hits and goes right in between,
Yeah.
you're going to knock someone in the heart and, like, crush their sternum and kill them.
Oh, yeah.
So plate armor should just be built like a flat plate.
Which is what they usually do
You know,
for plate
which
armor.
is why Star Wars The Force Awakens got it right with Captain Phasma, the most useless character in existence.
Also, all Dark Souls armor sets.
Yep, Dark Souls and also Game of Thrones. Who?
There's three of us.
There's three of us.
There's three. We have three whole people.
There's a person waving out in the
too many.
window.
I know who you are. We all know
We
who
all
you are.
know.
It's not a random person, Joe.
I know.
She's the one who brings us food because she's awesome.
Yeah.
Speaking
describe
of
multiple people.
most useless characters in Star Wars, there's a whole lot of characters you can't use in the new Star Wars Battlefront.
we gonna go right- are we gonna go right
We're
into that?
going
'Cause
right
I've got,
into
like,
it.
I have
We're
a-
going right into
Okay.
it.
Do I get to rant about EA again?
We all get to
Let
rant
me
about
let me
EA
do my
again.
thing, because man, I've got a lot of notes. I've
Let's
been
just talk
following
about
this.
the fact that Star Wars Battlefront 2, the original Star Wars Battlefront 2,
Still
is
playable.
still playable, and
On
I
Steam,
still play it.
multiplayer.
Oh man, is one of the best games ever. It really is.
It is
Like
good.
for
It is
any
great.
player like me, I don't play video games. I suck at video games.
Ha!
Like, but I can play Battlefront 2.
Oh, anybody can play Battle, and it's a great multiplayer game. It's probably one of the best multiplayer games.
Battlefront 2
of
is
all
the
time.
Ratatouille.
Let me go spit on my gum, because man, if I gotta talk, I don't want to.
Oh man, he's gonna go.
He's
This is
gonna
how
s-
you know he's serious. He's
Yeah,
going to spit
Bobby's
out his
serious
gum.
when he spits out his gum, people. That's how you know
That
he's
is
serious.
like, dang,
Dang.
fam.
Please don't get
Yo,
dank.
dog.
There's no need to start
We
with the
about
dank
to get
memes.
so dank memes up in here.
Dank memes.
Yep.
You
Because
showed
that is
me-
how they've been
I just didn't want to
protesting.
be smacking into the mic with my gum, so like.
That's how they've been protesting Battlefront
I
2
forgot to
with
spit it
dank
out
memes.
with
before.
dank memes.
Everything's protested with dank memes nowadays.
Gotta love that. I do love that Pepe.
Right, so Battlefront 2 controversy, right?
Yep.
EA, before Battlefront 2 came out, they came out and announced that all the DLC for Battlefront 2 would be, like, free. So, like, normally EA, they want you to buy their game, and then they want you to spend a ton of money on, like, extra stuff after the game comes out that could have launched with the game and been free at no additional price, which is stupid, because a lot of things are doing that now, and why. But Titanfall 2 did it right, and that's why Titanfall 2 was good, but now
Yeah.
EA's bought Respawn, and everything's gone. But,
EA is like
EA.
EA and Ubisoft. I think are the worst offenders when it comes to angering
$60 for the game,
gamers.
another $60 for everything else that could have been part of the game, but they want your money.
If I might
So,
ask, Bobby, which is worse, Ubisoft or EA?
I would say Ubisoft would have been worse, like, before this.
Before this.
Before
now,
this.
now I say
Before
EA,
this.
'cause
Now it's
EA was getting better, but now EA is kind of just dropped after this. But
Garbage Panda.
so Battlefront 2, yeah, everything's free. Like, everybody's like amazed because man, I just gotta buy the game, and then everything after the game comes out, I can play without spending extra money. Wow! But of course, microtransactions are a thing in every game.
Say it
that
with
exists.
me, folks. Let's bleed the consumer dry.
And then this is like I have two. There's two sides to this I want to talk about. I don't know which one to talk about first: the loot boxes or the microtransactions. But
The point being, I could scream about them all day, and it's not just here. I have wanted to get my hands on Shadow of War. That also infamously has that problem with loot boxes.
so let's
and
talk about loot boxes first, because man, what are loot boxes? Does Nico know what loot boxes
Nope.
are?
For
All
those
right.
of you who are not gamers and
Like
therefore do
me.
not know what loot boxes are, Bobby, give them the summary of what loot boxes
So,
are.
more recently, in like a ton of games, for some reason, all reward systems have been replaced with like a loot box system. So you play the game, you get a box, you open it up, everything inside is random. You don't get to know what you're getting until you open it, and yeah, it's just a lot of RNG. And a lot of games today, you can purchase loot boxes, which should be considered a form of gambling, but somehow is not. Because, man, spending money for RNG, that sounds a lot like gambling to me.
Well, you see, Bobby, it's technically not gambling because technically they can get away with it. But please, seriously, people, it's basically gambling.
So there's been a whole controversy discussion of whether loot boxes in games should be considered gambling. And if it is, if your game contains gambling, it has to be rated, I think, either M or adult only, which
I mean, that
is a pretty heavy thing for like
gambling.
for like marketing and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
profit, because if your game's rated like adult only,
It would also
have to-
probably be
It's-
illegal in New York State.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've gotten my hands on some adult-only games, like the original Manhunt. You can get them via the internet,
I'm
but
pretty
they're
sure
just very hard to
I'm
find.
pretty sure it's just M. Like adult only is a really heavy rating.
Yeah,
for
you'd
ESRB.
have
Oh
to-
man, if it was adult only,
Yeah.
It's adult only in New York State because New York State does not promote gambling, does not permit gambling unless you're gambling with New York State.
So, anyways, those are loot boxes. So, the new Star Wars game, which just came out yesterday, last weekend they had like an early access weekend. So if you like are an EA Access subscriber, if you pre-ordered or something, you got to play it early. I don't know, but people played it early, and they discovered in the early access that all the hero characters in the game are locked behind credits. So you buy the game, then you have to play the game to unlock, like, Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, all the big
or you
characters.
could pay them actual
But
money.
that sounds reasonable, right?
Yeah, that's
that
like
sounds
a normal.
reasonable.
That used to be all old school games, unlockable characters.
All the characters costed around some high number of credits, like 60,000 or something.
Yeah, something like you have to play 60 hours.
The thing is, to get 60,000 credits, you have to play the game for around 40 hours.
Yeah.
Like 40 hours, and that's because the credits. So I'm messing this up. I should have described credits first. So the credits in the game you get from playing the game. You can also get them from loot boxes, which you can purchase with money. So you can either buy a lot of loot boxes and get credits, or just play the game. But the problem is with playing the game, all the in-game credits, like when you play a match, normally it's like, oh yeah, like I do better, I get higher on the scoreboard, I get more credits. No, everybody gets the same amount no matter what. It's based on match length, not on player skill. So you can just go into the game and sit there, and as long as you don't get kicked, you can keep moving around every few minutes so you don't get kicked for inactivity, and you can just finish a match and get credits.
Oh,
so all you have to do
This is my favorite game ever.
all you have to do is sit there and not do anything.
You could get the camping award from Battlefront 2.
You got the camping achievement.
There was an achievement in Battlefront 2.
Oh,
The original one.
Yeah, I
Have
know.
you ever looked at the awards in the end?
Yeah.
I always had camper because I would just sit like on Kashyyyk and you just sit there behind the bunker and your team would lose and you just wouldn't move
Yeah.
So yeah,
and you shoot your own team.
So
yeah. Shoot everyone.
hero characters cost a lot. You can just sit there. You don't have to do anything. But other than that, credits are also spent on like upgrading your character as well. So you can either sit there and get credits for 40 hours and buy one hero, or you can spend credits on like other things too. So like it kind of splits that between that, because then it could.
Oh yeah, and the best part, see, now I get it. It's 40 hours per character.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, you're never going to be able to unlock that game.
So somebody calculated like how long it would take to unlock every single thing in the game, like all the characters, all the like upgrade components for your regular character. It would take around 4,528 hours, or if you buy loot boxes to get everything, around $2,100 to unlock everything in the game.
Sweet, merciful Lord, that is too long.
So
That is too much money.
$2,100.
So this is what early access weekend players discover, and they were not happy with EA about that, because man, EA wants your money.
EA is just the worst, folks. If you can look at like the Umbrella Award for corporate scummery, EA would probably win it.
So someone made a post on Reddit, and it's I don't remember what the title is, but it's something along the lines of, I paid $80 for this game, and I Darth Vader is locked. What?
There was a meme about it that was, Anakin, from henceforth you shall be known as just Anakin. We haven't unlocked Vader yet.
So, EA PR person responded with this wonderful comment here, and I'm going to read it out. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per-player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and of course attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the passion the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everyone as soon and as often as we can. And people didn't like that because
Translation:
You're
pay
here
me.
forever. You're here forever.
people didn't like that on Reddit because it currently has negative 678,157 downvotes.
Is it the most downvoted thing
It's
of all time?
The most downvoted comment on Reddit first place. Second place, most downvoted comment had negative 25,000. This one has negative 678,000.
I think they broke Reddit.
They did. They broke Reddit.
So nobody liked that. And man, pride and accomplishment for giving EA your money. That's so good.
Yeah.
So
Don't you feel prideful and accomplished that,
that
we
was-
have bled you of your hard-earned savings?
So that was the,
Yes.
that was the first big thing that happened. That's like the big thing that started this. Like I know you shared a post on my Facebook that said, "Oh, we should talk about this." I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Yep.
I'm ready to go about this."
You and me both.
So DICE, the developer of the game, EA publishes it and DICE
Yep.
develops it. DICE came out and responded to this with a whole thing, and they ended up stating that they'll be reducing the hero cost in credits by 75%.
Okay.
But in addition to that, they also reduced the amount of credits you get from playing, so it didn't.
Are you kidding me? Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's just the most jerkish thing I've
What
ever
the-
seen.
Is this the economy? Like, hey, we'll make the items cheaper, but we're gonna pay you less because we need to create artificial deflation.
Yay!
Now, I'm not sure if that not-
unregulated gaming economy.
I'm not sure if that. I didn't really look into that, but I'm not sure if that applied to all parts of the game. They
Man.
definitely reduced credits you get from the campaign, which
Okay,
is where you get
I mean,
a good amount.
But here's the deal. I mean, they said people don't understand. The Death Star cost a lot of money to build, and once you blew it up, you basically put the economy into a free fall. So this is just, I mean, this is realistic. Like, you win a battle in Star Wars Battlefront 2, you're gonna get paid less, and things are gonna cost more because the economy is wrecked because you blew up the Death Star.
So-
Yeah,
Congrats,
and-
you're actually. This is
And
all.
and you know
DICE
what?
and EA just needs to come out and say this is a realistic economic simulator.
Oh, and I
And you know
I
what?
have something relating
and
to that
you know
too.
what? The Stormtrooper Union won't do anything. They're too busy losing too many of their numbers because they keep accidentally shooting themselves.
Oh man,
So-
wait, Bobby.
So wait, I still did, I have a
Yeah.
lot more to talk about.
Yes.
But so after everybody gets mad, everybody now knows that, like, man, don't buy Battlefront 2 because EA terrible business practices. Don't give them your money.
Does everyone buy it?
So no, actually, EA for everybody that had the game pre-ordered and like had the game purchased, EA removed the refund button from their support site.
Oh my! Are
Oh my god!
So
This
the-
EA is gonna get sued
So-
by the Federal Trade Commission.
The only way to-
Congratulations, Electronic Arts! You have just won the Umbrella Terrible Corporation of the Year award.
So the only way to
Congratulations.
get a refund on the game for a period, I don't know if they redid this or whatever, but you had to call their customer support, which had like a 60+ minute wait time. So I guess they were hoping that people would just not bother calling that and not
Nice
try to refund the game.
Nice try.
Hello, please hold. For
And one of the best comments I saw relating to this was, you have to wait an hour so there's a sense of accomplishment.
That is definitely. I feel very accomplished. I'll say that much.
I feel so accomplished. 2 hours later, I still feel so accomplished.
But yeah, so this is like, by this time this has been like a huge thing. This is one of the biggest things that's happened recently with the microtransaction situation, which I hope this begins to solve some of the problems related to that. But then just a whole bunch of other stuff happened after that. But I don't really know. Like, I have notes here, but they're not really complete notes. Like, I got something about Blizzard. So Blizzard made a StarCraft advertisement that we can post if you want.
Yeah.
It's a StarCraft advertisement that mocks EA for their microtransactions. It's really funny.
Oh man. Oh, that's
But relating to what you said about you said something about, I don't know. What did you just say that I said I have something relating to that? You said it like 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I don't.
2 minutes ago. It was something about EA knows their economy. So a higher up at EA, I don't know his exact position.
the economic simulator.
Yeah, a higher up at EA, I don't know his position, CEO, CF. I don't know. There's like a bunch of
Big
things that I
kahuna.
don't. Yeah,
Probably,
it's a higher up guy.
Grand
He,
Poobah.
I want to get exactly what he said because I don't want to mess anything up. So go on and talk about
Okay.
something.
So,
for-
Okay,
well,
so-
we're gonna keep talking about the.
Well, news. I'm trying to think news.
No, oh, you want to switch? We're not. You want
We're
to?
not. Well, I think we have some more time on the video games before
Alright,
we
I
have to
got it.
switch
Yeah,
to
we
news.
got it
he's
right
got
here.
it up anyway.
Yeah, he's got it up. I'll
So
look
it's
at
the-
some other stuff.
It's the CFO, which
Chief Financial Officer.
Yes.
In charge of
the guy,
economy.
the guy in charge of the money. And
The
everything.
economics.
The Grand Vizier of the Treasury
So-
of the EA dictatorship.
So what he came out and said some stuff, and he said, what we're really doing is trying to build a live service in which we'll be adding new content constantly to the game and giving people new ways to play the game. Said about Battlefront 2. So what he views like their games as, he said, people aren't really playing the game, like it's more of playing the service. So his view is that people are going in and they're playing, but they're also like playing like by buying money with microtransactions and like gambling essentially with the loot boxes. So like he said they want to go back and add it to their other games which don't have like really heavy microtransaction systems. So he mentioned Battlefield 4, which
We
know if
don't
anybody's played
talk about
4.
Battlefield
You don't like
4.
Battlefield 4?
Wasn't it glitchy?
No, it's pretty good.
I thought that was really glitchy when it first came out.
Yeah, he's like, people want to play the service. So, and he specifically mentioned monetizing, like going back and monetizing their older games.
Do they realize
Wow.
that? Okay, here's the deal. We're reaching a critical point in the gaming industry where we might hit the Atari ET moment.
Yeah, a lot of AAA.
So it's gonna kill most of the.
It's gonna kill off most of the gaming industry and
really
have to
gonna do-
restart. It's gonna happen.
well,
Oh, Lord.
What happened? The '80s. There was a video game crisis in the '80s.
So who's
where
gonna
all
take
the-
over? Whereas Nintendo took over in the '80s, who's gonna take over?
but this is basically what's happened, though, right? Like
Probably Nintendo again.
And Nintendo just shows up. We're back.
They're still here. Look at the Switch.
the AAA gaming industry is becoming the mobile gaming industry with their like insane amounts of in-app purchases, like in all mobile apps and games. Like, do you guys know what I'm talking
yeah,
about?
I
what
know
you're
exactly
talking
what
about.
you're talking about.
Like you can just get an app on your phone and spend a ton of money for no reason.
No.
Get Star
Basic
Wars
Skinner
Battlefront 2
box.
mobile app.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
man.
that's what the AAA industry is becoming.
Yeah, it's just AAA industry's just
Well,
running around doing. Meanwhile, the indies are just down there like, yeah, we got good stuff. That
Hopefully-
you pay
We
my
make
time.
games.
We make good games.
Hopefully, with this huge like backlash for EA for doing this, they something begins to happen with this. But there's something else. Last night, EA came out with an announcement and said they'll be temporarily pulling microtransactions from the game. So that's good.
Yay!
But
It's gonna have a
Temp-
catch, doesn't it?
Temporarily.
temporarily, yeah.
Temporarily.
So microtransactions will be returning to Battlefront 2 at some point in the future. But
Basically, what they're going to do is say, hey, you're going to play this character, and then we're going to put them behind a paywall.
So,
Because
one of-
you used to play them.
one of two things could happen here. They remove it, everybody buys it now that they're gone, and then all they do in a few months is just add it back without changing anything. So they can
Yeah.
just get money from people buying it, and then, hey, you have our game now, so give us more money.
Yep.
But
Give us more money.
another thing they could do is revamp the reward system and make it so that every like all progression you get from playing the game, but if you want like cosmetics, like special skins for your characters, you could buy those. That's what a lot of free-to-play systems use today. Like, you can play the game, but we have a money shop, so we can make money by selling you cosmetics only, and nothing that will give you an advantage over other players.
I mean, that's
Oh,
one.
That's
that is,
reasonable.
crazy.
that's
yeah.
reasonable because who's going to even...
So now, I
Oh,
figure we can transition. Or you want to transition? Because I got a good thing.
I have a transition.
But I got a good thing.
I got a better
Is
thing.
it a smooth transition, or is it
Okay.
completely a different thing?
It's
Hit-
a
hit me.
completely a different thing.
Okay, just rip us out. Hit it right now. What you got?
Professor Layton, the Malignant Growth.
Oh, for the love of
I'm sorry, but all I could just hear is 7 feet tall, a Filipino woman, and a master of disguise.
So,
So
Nico showed me this
If you
story.
haven't heard of Jadu, a New Orleans-based woman So here's the deal. Jadoo is a. This is what we knew was gonna. And as a matter of fact, sitting in my wonderful land of media and culture. What is stereotyping in media? Last year, we actually made jokes about this. We said, okay, so when Rachel Dolezal came out as transracial, and everyone was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah,
and then like the conservatives were defending it. Well, what about transgender? How is there a difference? We all kind of sat in that class and went, what is going to happen if there's a transgendered, transracial, like, what if that comes up? And we have Jadoo.
Jadoo.
A transgendered, transracial Filipino woman.
A Filipino in a white person's body.
Originally born a white man by the name of Adam, now is a Filipino woman named Jadoo, who arrived to the conclusion that she is Filipino after growing up watching the History Channel. I'd watch the History Channel sometimes for hours, whenever it came to, and, nothing else intrigued me more than things about Filipino culture.
This is how it works now, people, apparently.
Okay, so here's the deal, because, like, Bobby, you and I were having this discussion yesterday, and, like, Sam was ready to kill us both because, like, there's no such thing, according to her, there's no such thing as transracial.
I would say there's no such thing as transracial, but looking at like the cultural aspect to it, I definitely think there's a cultural aspect.
Well,
but
there's a difference between culture and saying you are ethnically Filipino.
And, well, here's the best thing about ethnically Filipino, as this article on Allure likes to point out. The Philippines is a country. It's a nationality.
I don't see her moving to the Philippines.
I could move to the Philippines and be Filipino.
Yes, but I don't see her moving to the Philippines.
But this is also...
But drives around in a tuk-tuk because, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's... You can...
But then there's the line of, like, isn't this cultural appropriation by the white people?
No, I think you can enjoy a culture. It's just that you can't say you're a different ethnicity than what you actually are racially or something like that.
We talked about this story in my social psychology class, which I bring up a lot. I don't know. It's helping me learn things, but... First, I want to separate, like, the transracial and the transgender thing. Like, somebody brought up a valid point that transgender, like, gender as a social construct...
Is a social construct.
Yeah, gender is a social construct.
It's complicated.
But it's also something that applies to everyone, everywhere.
Equally, yeah.
Race does not apply to everyone, everywhere equally.
No.
So you can't...
Nor does ethnicity, which is distinct from race.
Very
different thing. In fact, if they're Filipino, they wouldn't be transracial. They would be trans-ethnic.
National.
And technically, they're transnational.
You could
if you're
move to
looking at the
Manila.
group within the Philippines, like if you're looking at the ethnic groups within the Philippines, they would be trans-ethnic.
Well, it gets weird, and also...
Speaking from, like, a strictly cultural perspective, like, if someone were to have been raised, like, completely on, like, the culture of a different...
Well, it's raised on the culture, that's very different from saying, like I'm a Filipino now.
If you're a white person and you were raised, like, within a black family on black culture, what would you make of that situation?
Well, you'd say you'd have experience with the culture. I wouldn't say you're black.
You're not. Here's the deal. Now, once again, that's race. That's not ethnicity.
Yeah.
So there's your caveat. Like, I am Italian. I was raised Italian. I actually am Italian-blooded, but let's say I was adopted and wasn't actually Italian and was, like, Ukrainian or something.
You'd have experience with Italian culture.
I would still have an experience. In fact, I would be part of the Italian culture because I was raised in the Italian culture by Italians. And I think that's also a caveat that needs to be mentioned. Were you living and grew up in this culture? And that's different than, I watched the History Channel. Yeah. That's, like, watching the History Channel and deciding, I'm going to be this now because this is what I like, is a lot different than growing up actively in that culture.
Yeah. Like, I grew up Italian as well, Irish. German influences, the Swedish influences on occasion. I grew up in those cultures, but I wouldn't say if I was adopted by a Mexican family, I wouldn't say I'm like ethnic or racially Mexican or Latino.
Well,
Not racially,
you'd be
but-
ethnically, and you'd be technically ethnically
white, yeah,
white,
but
would be based on genetics.
but I would have experience with the culture, but I wouldn't be Latino or Mexican.
However, some of that can connect because if you were raised, not Joe Mara, let's say you were raised like Jose, yeah. That actually does, even with your pasty boy you are.
This coming from you?
I'm Sven the Chalk Boy. Like, no one would believe that I'm, although, please, my genetics keep flipping every 2 minutes. I don't know.
You and I are both
23 and me is a mess.
I think you and I are both equally pasty. Wouldn't you say, Bobby? I think all
What?
three of us are pretty pasty.
I think you're more I'm paler, but you're more distinctly white.
The heck? What's that mean?
So, like, Bobby is like a very specific facet of white with a nice careful blend of Italian carefully blended in.
I'm made up of like 3 different cheeses.
Yes, exactly. I look European. I look European white. Like when I have that because I'm a mix of somewhere. I'm all over Europe genetically.
Also a little bit Persian as well, as you
Middle
told me.
Eastern is not Persian. It's just
Well,
Middle
I thought
Eastern.
you said it was in Persia.
There's no way to tell that based on 23andMe, and it's speculative. Although we keep tracing it back, and there is basically Middle Eastern in me, but that could be Turkish and
Cool.
which I mean, please, the Roman Empire was all over the place. That doesn't mean much.
Rome loves its...
It turns out, though, based on percentage, I was scanning it. So I always thought, from my father's side, I know my father's side was Italian and like Eastern European.
Yeah.
And German.
Yeah.
And maybe we were like maybe a pinch Irish. We weren't entirely sure.
Yeah.
And when we checked my genetics, I had like less than 1% English and Irish, but it showed up.
Yeah.
Like there's most of the other ones like 0%. That one said you have a trace amount of British and Irish. So I'm like, oh, I must have that. Then we checked my mother's father's side, and he showed up with a trace amount of British and Irish. So now I just found out that I think everything I know is everything I know is just made up. But I'm European. You're Italian, and once again, like, although you pass more Italian than I do.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it the hair or...
It's the you have your hair, your skin isn't olive, but you could pass as Northern Italian. You have the brown eyes. You look Irish too,
That's, yeah, the Irish in me.
but you have like distinct Italian features.
Yeah.
My most Italian thing I have is my hair is curly. Like I have curly hair, which could also go to any of my other things, but I look like a mutt. You can't. It's hard to pin me.
Woo,
Most
mutts.
people, when they hear my name, do not imagine I look like this.
Mutt Squad!
Bobby might be a mutt. I
What?
think. Are you a? Do you?
I'm not a dog.
No, you're Italian, but
We're mixed
Are you?
with,
Are you mixed with anything else?
Probably.
I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
probably.
Woo,
Probably.
yeah.
But yeah. And so like, I mean, we're mixed with a bunch of things, so basically if there's anything we could just claim it.
Yeah, well,
We're the
I can
Chris-
claim the big four, or I can claim Italian, Irish, German. Swedish as well was pretty cool, because then I can, that explains my love of heavy metal.
My best one is like genetically I just end up being broadly European half the time.
Yeah.
Because they can't even figure out where I'm from.
Yeah.
Like they're like, you have like your genetics, like we can trace all over Europe from the spread of people within Europe. So
You got a bit of French in you, don't you?
well, because Germany and France were heavily involved for long
Yeah,
periods
so you
of
can
time.
milk that French thing.
Yeah, I'm not milking the French
Yeah.
thing.
Okay. But I'm
But
getting.
going back on topic,
But getting back on topic, I want
I
to
know-
bring up
I know
something.
I'm not gonna walk around because I watched a lot of History Channel about Vietnam.
My mom
So
is-
I'm
and
Vietnamese now.
I went to Pho Saigon yesterday and had some Vietnamese food, and now I'm Vietnamese.
Now
Like,
I'm
no,
that's not how it works.
My
That's
mom
not
is
how it
angrily
works.
texting me.
Oh, man.
Oh, what's she
I know.
saying?
I know. I'm mostly Italian.
What else?
I'm mostly
Let's see.
Italian, and then the three quarters Italian and mostly French. Thank you.
French.
French!
I know I'm
course
mostly
he's
Italian.
French.
We have a Frenchman.
He's French.
I'm not.
Your
I'm
mother-
not French though. I'm not from France. I don't.
You're French.
I don't identify with the French.
Why not? I identify with all of Europe. As a matter of fact, I now, with the exception of the Asian countries, identify with everything in Epcot.
Good for you.
The Nordic people, I have Northern European in me.
Hit that Viking metal.
I have Middle Eastern and North African genetics, so I identify with Morocco in Epcot.
I'm sure that's how it
I
works.
identify with Italy and France and Germany. I identify with Canada because it's my neighbor.
I'm literally right. It's literally right there.
It's
so.
right there. We're all technically Canadian.
We're all technically
We're
Canadian.
not. We're not.
We're not.
I have relatives in Canada.
I do love, say, the tragically hip, poutine, and hockey, so...
Yeah, but who doesn't?
Good point. But I don't think many people... I think it's mostly around this area that we have a lot of hockey fans. Like this area, Boston, New York.
Yeah, what's that all about?
Did I mention
You
Leafs
ever
fans are
notice
the
that
worst?
you never notice it, but like I was taking photos the other day and I was looking at the gorge. We live in a postcard. Did anyone ever realize that, like, when people are like, oh, Niagara Falls, the Niagara River region, like, we live in a
You
postcard.
live in the falls.
We live right in
Yeah.
in the waterfall. I know I live in a postcard. Like I jump inside of a postcard and that's where I live. No, but what I mean is like we live in a very scenic area. And you
Yeah.
don't notice it until like you get someone from New York City who drives up here and is like, look at all these trees, and we're like, yeah, there's trees.
Yeah,
like they've never seen trees before. They're in shock.
Like, say, my relatives coming from, like, Florida, they're like, it's so beautiful down here. And I'm like,
Down here.
or up here. Eh.
We're going
Well,
north to Mexico.
Yes, Bobby. Yes.
They're like, you have Canada right there, and it's so beautiful. I'm like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
all right.
Like, when's the last time you went to Canada? 11 years ago.
Been there. I've been there a few times.
I gotta go back to Canada. I have an enhanced license to get
You should
Canada,
go back
and
to,
I just-
Toronto. Toronto's a great city.
Toronto's nice.
Toronto is Toronto.
I enjoy Toronto.
Toronto's
okay,
great.
I don't like New York City because it's too crowded.
I haven't been in New York City.
I've been
Don't-
there.
I've been to
don't
New York
care.
City. It's very crowded and very hot and very noisy.
Yeah,
and-
I'd imagine.
Well, Toronto's like Canada's New York City.
I know. Toronto's also the head of the fashion district. And
Yeah. Well, I'm also looking at it's a massive. I went to the St. Lawrence Market. You ever been there in Toronto?
No.
Oh, it's this great market where they got pea-meal bacon sandwiches. They got poutine.
Oh
they got-
man, watch
They got
out,
poutine
guys!
everywhere.
They have poutine and pea-meal bacon sandwiches ever. I can
But
go
this
to
is the best
Royal
place.
Cafe.
The best place that you can get it.
That's so totally subjective, though.
Man, I went to a Harvey's and got poutine and it was still good. It's
Yeah.
a fast food place.
You ain't been to Poutini's in Toronto.
Poutinis?
Poutinis.
Poutine.
Poutini! Going back to Star Wars.
Jawas and the
What?
Sand People.
Oh,
But anyway,
but not just the women.
What
Not
was
just the men, but the women
and the children. What was I getting back to? I was
nothing.
trying.
We were going
No,
back to
I
what
got
Bobby
it.
was talking
We're going
about.
No,
back
wait,
to Star Wars,
wait,
yeah.
wait. I gotta
have
get us
anything.
on this thing because I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
So you guys hearing the news about Zimbabwe? They recently
Oh, yeah.
they had a coup d'état and possibly overthrew Robert Mugabe.
No.
What do you mean? No, he's a terrible dictator.
No, man. I
Man.
wasn't ready. See, I'm playing dictator bingo, and he was in the corner.
He was in the corner?
The guy, I had the guy from the Philippines in the middle. Oh, I was,
Man, you should have gone
I
with
would just-
Mugabe, man.
It's not my fault. I just got a prearranged board.
here we go,
Dude,
right?
you
Here we
just
go,
gotta
right?
get Mugabe. But
How
here's the
could we
thing.
overthrow Mugabe? No one overthrows Mugabe.
Well, here's the thing. For those, it's probably gonna be a good thing given the fact that they are.
He's the Hitler of Zimbabwe.
He's the Hitler of Zimbabwe. He's also terrible dictator, but also he kind of wrecked the economy because, as you know, Zimbabwe does not have a money because they used to have $1 zillion bill
We don't-
because it was so
we don't
inflated.
need money in Zimbabwe.
We have $1 zillion bill. It's worth a penny.
Hey, at least it ain't. That's like the hyperinflation of Chinese hell money.
Oh God.
Chinese hell money. Is
Yeah,
wonderful.
Chinese hell money, folks.
We need to buy some Chinese hell money and burn it to our ancestors in the brand new fire pit that is always left unattended here.
I was about to say, is anybody going to that thing?
I'm gonna go after the
fire pit? I've been there.
I'm gonna go walk over to it after the show.
Well, I have to go drive to the southern tier to go hunting. I'm gonna be
Are you
having
hunting
fun
elephants?
With that. No,
yeah, because they're legal.
Really?
Yeah.
I can. How would an elephant taste?
What?
don't.
What?
Oh yeah, I so love to. I love to eat that elephant.
Elephant.
It's so good. Are you sure you're
Yeah,
not?
the U.S. Lifted the ban on importing elephant trophies from Zimbabwe.
Admittingly, believe it or not,
Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe and Zambia.
Yeah.
That's why the coup happened. They wanted to allow them elephant trophies.
Well, and because they believe that hunting elephants actually helps conservation.
It
of
actually
elephants.
does.
And it does.
you wanna
Yes,
know
I've
ano-
seen Adam Ruins.
I've seen that too.
You want to know another stupid thing that happened? The U.S. Had like a group talking about like how fossil fuels are here to stay at a UN like climate change conference. So like they were there talking about fossil fuels at like, wow, we need to protect the climate. Hey, fossil fuels. What?
Yeah.
It really
Yes.
does annoy me.
Yes.
The fact that we are one of the few nations that's not in that.
We're one of the
agreement.
only nations.
We're the only
Syria
nation
is
that-
in the Paris Climate Agreement.
Yeah,
now.
Syria kills 90% of its population. Is in there.
Hey, here we go. So I got one for you.
Okay.
Okay. So you can say what you want about America, but see, these other countries may call our president an old. What do they call him? And he was angry about being
Adobe Reader.
a dotard.
A dotard.
But no, they
A
called him
dotard.
something else too. And like Trump's tweet,
Like,
just need-
I didn't call Kim Jong-un fat and stupid.
Hold on a sec. It was. I gotta bring it up.
He did, though. Even though he did call, and admittingly, I actually applaud him for that because Kim Jong Un is fat and
So we
stupid.
need to find. I need to find this because this is just.
Oh god.
When was this? How many days ago was that tweeted out? Because he never stops.
I don't
tweeting
know what
this
you're
stuff.
The
talking
man
about.
never stops
But-
tweeting. What are you talking about?
I need to find. Donald Trump tweeted. Matter of fact, North Korea has sentenced Donald Trump to death for what he said.
I mean, if they can.
It was.
No.
It was days ago. It was like last week.
Yeah, death over calling Kim Jong Un
Okay,
fat
here
and
we go.
stupid. Yeah.
So Kim Jong Un allegedly called Donald Trump like an old dumb, foolish man.
AKA
and
a
Donald
dotard.
Trump, and of course, no, he did. This is a different tweet. This is like a more recent one. Donald Trump responded by, "Why would Kim Jong Un insult me by calling me old?" And it's like he wasn't worried about the dumb. No, it was an old lunatic.
Yeah.
It was a old lunatic, and he's angry they called him old.
Yeah.
Not the lunatic part.
I-
Old. When I would never call him short and fat. Oh well, I try so
just
hard.
did.
I try so hard to be his friend, and maybe someday that will
Did he
happen.
actually say this?
Yes, he tweeted it out. This is the level of petty. This is like.
I tried so hard to be his friend. What?
I tried so hard to be his friend. I would never call him short and fat, but he calls me old. I would never say he smells. I would never say any of that.
Never.
Never.
Okay,
Never.
And now, the North Korea has condemned him to death.
This is something I want to talk
That
about, though.
happened. But then again,
And the Democrats have filed articles of impeachment in Congress.
that's not going to get anywhere.
I want to talk
I don't
about
think it's
something,
going
though.
to get anywhere.
That's
I want
what
to talk
you
about
think.
something.
Yeah, I highly doubt it will. Oh, speaking of Democrats, actually, Bobby, before we bring that up, so you hear about Al Franken.
You mean on the fact that there's been like at least almost over 40 people since October have been accused.
Well, with Al Franken, he was accused.
And there's a photo.
He
There's
ca-
a photo.
He came out with a statement, and the woman accepted his apology and said no ethnic investigation was required.
Ethnic
Ethic.
Yeah, here's the deal, but no one cares about that because crucify.
Crucify!
What?
Crucify!
No, I want to
him.
talk about something though, because I want to bring this up. So yeah, with all the sexual harassment allegations within the last few weeks, 17 women accused Donald Trump of sexual harassment. When are we gonna take a look at that? 17 women.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, like probably 10 of those came out before the election, and the video of him talking about how he just
Grabs him by...
came out before the election, but he was still more likable than
Hillary Clinton! And
this is an inherent problem with this country in that this, like, deranged lunatic of a man, in all ways, shapes, and forms, I will say this about Donald Trump. At least he's a well-rounded scumbag. He hits all the check marks for everything you shouldn't do when you're rich and powerful.
Yeah.
But let's face it, he was in Hollywood. He has $1 kajillion. He's buddies with all these people. And yet we still put him in office because at least he had a platform where Hillary Clinton was just saying, Donald Trump's stupid.
Yeah.
I think this was Hillary Clinton's election to lose, and she still lost, and she actually went out of her way to lose it.
Even though
I don't know what
even though the media was giving her a tongue bath and everybody else was going on board, most of the establishment was in her favor, she still lost.
Because as everyone knew, and this is there's some shady things that may have happened in the DNC. And we know there were things that happened in the DNC, like, Donna Brazile came out and basically said that Hillary Clinton's campaign was controlling most of the money in the DNC.
We all know
and,
this.
went out of their way to make sure Bernie Sanders couldn't win. But, back in 2008, how we like to say, oh yeah, Obama just, destroyed it. Obama didn't really blow it out of the water. They were neck and neck for a very long time, Hillary and Obama. Mm-hmm. It looks like they took a plea deal. It looks like they took a deal and said... And Hillary Clinton bowed out, and she did. She just kind of bowed out of the election in 2008.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the DNC said, we think that Obama can win this, bow out of this, and run in 2016.
Yeah.
And we'll ensure that you'll win.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure you're the candidate. Because all of a sudden, she went from, running against Obama, saying he's in his spirit of this, and then just and neck and neck with him, and then disappeared.
Yeah.
Went away, joined his cabinet, then went away from that, and then started campaigning, and her campaign actively controlled the DNC. And that's not hearsay, that's actually stated from Donna Brazile and the DNC. That the money within the DNC was heavily controlled by Hillary Clinton's campaign.
Yeah.
Which is not something that's supposed to happen when you're doing that.
We shouldn't be surprised with this because this is Hillary Clinton we're talking about. This is the Clintons.
Same time, I so wish that the Republicans would have just put in literally anyone else.
Well,
would have let anyone. And the problem with the Republicans, and this is why I sit here and
they didn't hit the issues Trump was hitting.
No, there were 16 of them. The issue was there were 16 of them. So let's say you have 16 varying degree of establishment Republicans running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well, all the establishment people are going to split their vote amongst these 16.
Yeah.
Meaning all the extremists are going to vote for Donald Trump, and he's going to get the plurality. The problem with the Republican Party is not that Donald Trump won because Donald Trump won. The problem with the nomination in the first place was there were so many people running for the Republican ticket that they all shot each other in the foot, allowing this guy to just walk right in.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. And then, because Bernie Sanders was not going to go off into the night, and he did not go off into the night calmly.
He did not go
and the problem
into
is,
that
even
good
if
night.
he did, he had riled up that specific group of voters to not like Hillary Clinton. The Bernie voters did not vote for Hillary. They didn't vote.
Yeah.
Or they wrote in Bernie. Or they voted for some third party. They voted for Jill Stein. They voted third. Yeah, your vote makes a difference. And everyone just kind of this entire election is what happens when so many people want to scramble for power that everyone shoots themselves in the foot, and the person that has the most core base, no matter how extreme, and the core base was Donald Trump's extremists, will win. And he walked in. And even if you say, well, he didn't walk in, he used the Electoral College. Yeah, he walked in using the Electoral College. If you look at a county-by-county map, almost the entire United States was red. Bobby?
Yeah.
Have you seen the county-by-county map?
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
With the exception of certain areas.
With the exception of the
mostly
high population cities, New York,
LA, Miami,
Miami,
Chicago.
Your high. And the thing with California is and we did the math on it. They said, well, Hillary Clinton, how Hillary Clinton had, what was it, like 2 million votes or whatever, millions of votes more higher than Trump got.
Yeah, that's
in the
because
popular
of
vote.
New York and California.
If you count the amount of votes Hillary Clinton won by, not even the total votes in California, just the amount she won by, that's the exact numbers of votes she won in California. So she won that many more votes by California alone.
Yeah.
Because California liked Hillary Clinton, and that's been
California's
known.
always been a solid blue.
California and New York. I mean, and really New York, it was only New York City because all around here actually
I'm
voted.
not sure. Yeah. Most of rural
Every
New York is
county
Republican.
except Erie in Western New York voted red in the election. Erie voted blue, but it was split, and they just Buffalo edged it just barely. It was what they call, if you look, they had deep levels of color deepness.
Yeah.
Everything was like deep red, with the exception of Erie, which was light blue.
Yeah.
It just squeaked it out to go Democrat. So, what's going on here? More people, and this is where politics gets complicated, and this is where trying to justify the Electoral College gets complicated, because if it was based on, well, why do we have the Electoral College? It's an outdated system that yes, it does, but it also ensures that these rural areas the states other than New York and California get, and it's not even get a say, because the say is not what's important. What's important here is when you look at, like, Donald Trump actually in Western New York, because of Chris Collins.
Yeah.
A lot of the federal money for infrastructure, Buffalo was at the bottom of that list. Buffalo was in the lower tier of that list. Trump pushed Buffalo up to now we're about upper mid. So now we're higher on the list to get infrastructure money.
Wow.
Because of Chris Collins. This is always a game you have to play. And the reason the Electoral College and this kind of thing exists is to prevent, if it didn't exist, and all campaigning went to the areas of highest population, New York City and Los Angeles and Chicago and your hotbed cities, those cities would get all of the infrastructure money because those are the cities where your votes count.
Yeah.
That's where it would matter. So you need to schmooze those cities. Because the Electoral College says, no, that's stupid, and kind of spreads it wrong. The spread is illogical because it was originally built to... You do know why the Electoral College was originally created, right?
It was wasn't it originally meant to make sure that sort of coastal cities didn't really dominate the election?
That's the broad stroke of it. One of the more narrow influences on it was before we started counting this was before a lot of voting laws existed.
Yeah.
When they wanted to do based on population,
yeah.
Guess who had the most population? The South.
The South.
Because of slaves.
Yeah.
The North didn't want that. So they put in... That's why the Electoral College exists. It was literally to discount the slave states. Because their population would be higher. That's the origin of it. Which is very bad.
Remember
one of the origins.
But on the other hand, the slave states would use their power to keep slavery.
Yeah.
So if the Electoral College didn't exist, it could very well be likely that if it was based on population, even though slaves couldn't vote, and it was and the number system was based on population and not based on some arbitrary standard of haphazardly throwing numbers at a wall.
Yeah.
The South could have kept slavery a heck of a lot longer.
Yeah.
The North kind of ensured that they would have less power to have control over things, and there was a lot of stupid negotiation when we could have just said, let's just abolish slavery, but we weren't going to do that. We weren't doing that in the 1700s.
Let me give you the context of why they didn't abolish it straight off. And the reason they didn't for a long time is because they needed the South in order to make sure the U.S. had enough time to get its strength up. We couldn't have just abolished slavery immediately after we declared independence because that would have started a civil war immediately after.
Yeah, we don't get to talk about that.
We don't get to talk about history.
Can I bring up one more thing before
yes.
we end the show today? So the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC,
No.
has announced that they plan to vote to overturn U.S. net neutrality rules in December. So December. So if someone that
Okay, chill out,
Okay,
Joe.
let-
Stop kicking the door.
for anyone that doesn't know what net neutrality is or why it's important, net neutrality is basically preventing internet service providers from becoming something like Electronic Arts. So your internet service provider is not allowed under net neutrality rules to make you pay like money
There's
for
actually
access
there's
to
3 technicalities that they follow. They can't throttle speed to specific sites.
Yeah.
They cannot block your access behind paywalls to specific sites, and they cannot promote sites that pay them premiums.
Yes. So without the net neutrality rules,
They could do all. They could
Yes,
basically,
yeah.
without net neutrality. Let's say Amazon wants to go in and wants to make sure that you're using Amazon Prime Instant Video and not Netflix. They can pay money to get faster speeds
Yeah.
and heavy, basically get broadband favoring
Yeah.
from these companies by paying them money.
So it basically allows them to get.
And what this would really hurt is, let's say, someone like, let's say I was hosting a website on an independent server,
Yeah.
and I could not afford to, pay, Spectrum or Verizon a premium to get mine to load faster. My site would start going, the internet speed would be like it is here. The Wi-Fi yesterday in the school, which has nothing to do with net neutrality and everything to do with they keep putting up wireless routers and don't have enough infrastructure to support it. The internet speed yesterday in Galley was 0.38 megabits download and 0.79 megabits upload. That's pretty much the speed of a dial-up modem.
Yeah. So, given this issue, and it's such a vital issue, especially if you believe in sort of the way that not letting companies like sort of rip the internet and streaming and like that, the internet, and this is something that they did for a while, the internet mobilized over this. So we need we as sort of people who enjoy the internet, who enjoy a sort of equal and free internet, we need to mobilize over this issue and to get on the FCC's case. We need these net neutrality laws, and we need them to be able to allow this sort of equality of streaming. So I beg you people to mobilize over this, get the word out, call your representative, do something to make sure that these laws stay in control and that companies do not have their free way with your internet. I am begging you, please.
Well, here's if you ever wonder like why these companies they're legitimate, like companies are not coming out and saying, well, we need to make more money. They come out saying, well, we're not going to throttle anything, there's just going to be a fast lane and a super fast lane. That's how I think Comcast referred to it.
It's like double.
Comcast is garbage right now.
Yeah,
But
Comcast
here's
is the
deal.
devil. I'm
So
not
here's
sure
the
you know
deal.
that.
Here's the deal with their actual, and this is the downside of net neutrality. This is devil's advocate, because the benefits of net neutrality greatly outweigh the negative. But one of the negatives of net neutrality is because these companies can't create this premium system and basically have to provide it across the board, they're less likely to, because, I mean, they have to pay their shareholders and they have to pay for this infrastructure. Like, if net neutrality goes away, theoretically, high-speed internet, like access to super high, like that super ridiculous high-speed internet, would be more likely because they'll spend the money.
But at what cost?
But you'll have to pay for it.
Yes, you will have to pay for
And
it.
these and the websites are going to have to pay for access to that high-speed internet.
So once again, internet.
So it's a lose situation.
Internet, we need to unite over this and fight for net neutrality. So get your support together. Mobilize Reddit, mobilize 4chan, mobilize all the websites in support of this.
problem
This
is
is
that-
something they've already.
We've done this several times. The problem is every time we have to redo it is because these old people in Congress that are getting a lot of money from the
FCC
internet,
Chairman Pai.
like FCC, like I don't even know if they're entirely familiar with how internet like 2.0 works. I still think they think the internet's like, oh yeah, I click on a website and a little dancing baby pops up. Oh man, like, it's like, these websites from the 90s, like, why does it need to be fast? Like,
These old, out-of-date
like,
thoughts that
we
they have
are
on the
in the
internet.
days of Internet 2.0, and like,
Yeah, and the internet is such a vital thing, and these people in sort of high-up powers can't really comprehend that they're also getting a lot of money from these companies as well.
the problem with the internet, there needs to be a way with the internet, and the problem is the internet is highly uncontrollable. But
Yeah, good luck trying
is
to
there a
control it.
way? And this is the other thing that shouldn't be any trouble. But there's there's open internet laws, and you can't do anything about that.
Woo!
But like when you start going into the like dark web,
Yeah.
like the fact that that is still easily accessible.
Well, it's really hard to control as well.
Actually, it's illegal to
It's-
control.
it's-
It's illegal. You can we can hunt down illegal activity on the dark web.
Yeah.
But we can't block it's illegal to like shut down the dark web.
The proportion of like sections of the internet that you can get to is very tiny.
Very
There's a
tiny.
huge like
Think of it like an
An iceberg.
Yeah,
I was telling my mother this yesterday.
You have the little part you can get to. Google shows you the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to get to the rest of the big, giant 99.9% of the iceberg, you need to know your specific date, you need to have your Tor on, and you also need to make sure the FBI isn't looking at your searches. So,
For what? The only thing the dark web has been used for that I can think positively is like in like the Arab Spring.
third world country,
You know,
it helps ferment
yeah,
revolutionary fever and pro-democratic ideas.
Like it's really good in like places where the internet is so heavily censored.
Yeah.
That the government is like the totalitarian government.
Yeah.
But other than that, like it's the Wild West of the internet.
Yeah.
But the internet already is nuts as it is.
But we can agree that it does have some benefits, like you said with the Arab Spring. Like, not only that, but countries around the world, there's the dark web is the thing that's helping keep democratic ideas and these sort of things going.
The internet is already starting to, and this is the thing. They're like, SOPA and PIPA never happened.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like they never happened. But that doesn't mean there is still, it's regulated by the FCC, and there are. Although a lot of these laws keep getting found to be unconstitutional, like you can't censor the internet,
Yeah.
there is still clauses on protection of children, but it has to be specific and specifically tailored to certain things. But companies a lot of like big websites are afraid to challenge that in court. That's the clause that it has to be specific and tailored. So the FCC can't just come through and say what if a child sees this, shut down this entire website? You can't actually do that.
Yeah.
But companies who don't want to challenge this are starting to do stupid things. Like Tumblr.
Yeah.
Tumblr has now hidden many of... If the site is believed to be not safe for work, it is now hidden behind a login.
Yeah.
You have to create a Tumblr account, and you'd have to log in...
But
You have this issue on YouTube as well with restricted
YouTube
videos.
with restricted
yeah,
videos.
with YouTube and with Tumblr, they most of the time go like beyond, like they censor things that shouldn't need to
shouldn't
be
be
censored.
censored.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And oddly
like-
enough, and this is where it's funny, like a sketchy web, and this is your double-edged sword, like DeviantArt. The DeviantArt is a horrible website. But first of all, DeviantArt has now like across the board started censoring more and more of their stuff. Even on mature accounts, they've censored things. But if you now go on DeviantArt, you no longer have to have an account. You just need to verify your age, which was the original way. That is the legal liability way most sites did this, like before Tumblr decided, oh no, you need to log in. We need proof. Was originally, you would just hit that, like this button says. This button acknowledges that you are
above 18.
Above 18 or whatever the age of majority is in your specific country you are viewing this in.
Click agree. And
Click
you're in.
agree. If you are under this age, decline and leave the site. And then, if some kid clicked that, it's their fault because they lied.
Yeah.
And therefore, it kicks back to the parents, and it's not the website's fault because according to the website, you lied to the website. You're in breach of their terms of service, and they could delete you out of existence.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, you need to have accounts. You have to have this. You need to have 10 levels of verification so we can hold you accountable.
Yeah.
They're not going to hold you accountable. They're just going to delete your account. You're going to make a new account. You know,
Yeah.
it's just making it more inconvenient for people.
And is this because companies are afraid to challenge?
It's entirely because companies are
So
afraid.
they have no spine.
Yeah. Like a lot of companies have gotten in trouble with between
Like how YouTube doesn't have a spine for challenging unfair like censorship charges on certain videos.
no, like YouTube is actually
YouTube-
having a big problem right
YouTube-
now with demonetization.
Oh yeah, I've
YouTube
seen a lot of
yes.
YouTubers tell
It's
me about
collapsing
that.
right now. Like
That's
the,
why
the
a lot
guy Electro Boom, the guy that he lives in Canada, and he just makes videos about like scientific materials, like
I haven't watched
electronics
him.
and stuff. And like he's fun because he's always electrocuting himself and stuff. But his videos, all of his videos keep getting demonetized now because YouTube's decided that he's in breach of their new terms. And this is the same thing, like Facebook rolled out a bunch of new things that will cause your material to be demonetized by Facebook. Because in the wake of the fake news hunts,
Yeah.
everything's getting... Facebook, because they need to now look like they're being responsible, are demonetizing things well far and beyond what was the fake news clause. Now it's like, if your material has adult material, demonetized. If your material can be considered offensive by any individual,
Yes,
demonetized.
That's a problem, and it's because of that that
know.
I know some content creators who are uploading their back catalog to like VidMe.
Patreon just
Patreon.
banned.
Yeah.
You cannot promote not safe for work material.
Well, explicit.
Explicit material.
And that infuriated me because I know guys like
the difference between here's the thing, vulgarity is protected under the First Amendment. Obscenity is not protected under the First Amendment. However, if it can be considered art, it is protected because it's not obscenity. It has to pass the obscenity test, which is a 4-part test and very hard to prove something is obscene.
Yeah.
It's very hard to meet all of those points and say it has no scientific, educational, artistic, or political purpose.
yeah.
And if it has any of those, then it's not obscene, it's lewd.
Yeah, even though, like, I know guys who share their opinions online, they're getting this kind of stuff all the time. Guys like Sargon of Akkad was almost deleted from Patreon over offensive content or something like that. Thankfully, he wasn't, but this is an issue with a lot of guys who express their controversial opinions on YouTube.
But this is where, I want to look at this, because what's happening now is, with Congress pulling this, the fake news thing. And what I appreciate, what I enjoy about this is, when Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and all the CEOs had to come out and testify before Congress how this was permitted to happen. Because guess what? All the fake news, and they're like, oh man, the Russians made the fake news. Everyone was making fake news. Heck, Zach makes fake news on his blog on purpose. It's satire. He uses it as satire. The New Yorker has been making satirical fake news forever.
The Onion.
The Onion. Yeah. I mean, used to be able to buy satirical papers. The problem is they're making fake news that is intentionally meant to harm, or derail elections or campaigns. But guess what? And Facebook came out and said, well, we know that fake news articles reach this many billions of people and influence this much. Yeah, Zach. That's right. Here's the deal. Guess what? Facebook, you knew it was reaching this many people and you did nothing to pull these fake news stories? As a matter of fact, there was a report function on Facebook, when you can report things for being, offensive or incendiary or this. Guess what? They never pull anything on Facebook. Unless it's something that they specifically decided is now offensive, Facebook never pulls anything. I've reported things on Facebook before that were blatantly wrong or incendiary with, people, there was, an account one time. There was, it was, some account that was telling people to kill themselves.
Oh.
Their comments were, why don't you just go jump off the bridge and kill yourself? And I reported that because they were doing it repeatedly to every person that disagreed with them on that account. And the account was also blatantly lying about a lot of news stories. And Facebook's like, it does not meet our criteria for your report. Your report has been denied.
Oh, but meanwhile, they'll delete guys like Sargon of Akkad or
So it's
Rageaholic from Facebook because they're controversial.
But now, even forget about that. Now they're testifying in front of Congress, and Congress is saying, what the hell were you doing? You saw all this fake news coming across. People were reporting it as fake news. And guess what? People were reporting it as fake. There is a fake news report clicker that's been there for years now that you can say, report, this is fake news. This is untrue. You report it. And Facebook's computer system would not delete it. It wouldn't even bar it. It would leave it and say, we'll leave it up there anyway. It would demonetize it. Oh, well, we'll pull money away, as if that means anything. And so guess what? These, same time, you can't censor people.
Yeah.
But if you're telling blatant lies, and these blatant lies are shown to be with malicious intent.
But then again, how would you verify if something was true or not on this Facebook post? Like, say, if you were posting the truth and somebody flagged it as fake news, could you argue against
they would.
and
Well,
prove
they would
that
have
wasn't?
to. It would be case by case basis. The problem is Facebook doesn't want to pay for that.
Yeah,
'cause that costs money.
Facebook doesn't want to pay for that.
But here's the deal. Slander and libel are not covered under the First Amendment.
No, they aren't.
And a lot of what of this fake news could be considered slander, libel, or false flag. There's a lot of things that those could have been covered under that Facebook would have had rights. And my personal favorite, and this is a distinction. This is why YouTube can pull videos and we can't say you're infringing on my rights. As a service, like something like YouTube or something.
Yeah.
And this is where social media is a gray area because you're not in the public. It's like if I was standing here and I published something in a newspaper that had journalistic integrity and there's, rules and stuff.
Yeah.
But Facebook is a business. You're basically using their business to say certain things. And if they disagree with it, technically it's a gray area whether or not they could just remove it from their account.
Facebook does that all the time. Twitter does that all the time with opinions they don't agree with.
Twitter has deleted trending hashtags that they disagree with.
They've deleted trending hashtags, which I'm still furious over them doing some of them. Like when
they did that on when the DNC leak happened, they deleted the DNC.
They did that during the DNC. They did this when this
times.
woman was hiding on a plane to get away from Saudi authorities. They deleted that hashtag.
Yeah, they've done that quite a few.
That's why I probably am not going to get a Twitter.
But this is like a mess because and the funny thing is if you study communications, we have to study media law. I have my media law book. The intricacies of media law because of the internet age, and not even the internet age, because of social media. The laws have not caught up with social media yet.
Yeah.
So, and we're trying to push these laws, but there's no laws. So we really don't know what is protected anymore under this day and age in the First Amendment.
Yeah, the laws.
We can try to apply it, but a lot of times, social media,
the laws have not caught up with the internet, and that's a very troubling thing. But do you think we'll ever get around to catching up with the internet? How long do you think?
I think the internet is gonna, because it's so constantly changing. I don't know. I think what's gonna happen is the laws are gonna catch up with it. But the internet is so uncontrolled, and everyone realizes the internet is almost impossible to control at this point.
Yeah.
There's no, you're not gonna be able to regulate it.
Yeah, you can't regulate it.
It's just the problem is as big companies start buying up more and more of these. Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
Good luck fighting Google.
Yeah, that's why these tech companies have so much of a pull here.
Yahoo owns Tumblr. Of course, Tumblr started falling apart when Yahoo bought it.
Because it's Yahoo.
It's Yahoo. That's it. When these companies of this immense, control start owning more and more of the means of discourse.
Yeah. And Google is especially troubling to me because Google to me seems like it thinks it can get away with anything because it's basically the god of the tech industry.
But on the other end of the tech industry, I feel like we're getting dumber as a society. We're not dumber as a society, but I will still never understand why people and everyone tells me on Snapchat oh no, you can turn off Snap Map. But why do your friends need to know where you are? In my the first thing that I always learned was you don't even tweet when you're out of your house. You don't say where if you're on vacation.
Yeah.
You don't tell people
going on vacation. Please
hey,
rob my house.
Please rob my house. And these people are hey, I'm on Snapchat. I'm on the corner of College and Highland.
Yeah.
You know, hey,
Probably gonna
just
take me a few hours to
hanging
get back.
outside of 3M's here.
Probably gonna take me a while to get back home. I'd say about 2 hours. Totally
Oh
long
no!
enough.
Oh, see, you're completely different because I'm talking about Snap Map, which shows exactly where you are, and I'm saying you're on the corner.
My friend showed me that Snap Map, and I was like, "What the hell's this?" And he's like, "Oh, it shows you where everybody is." And I'm like, "That's terrifying."
Yeah,
It's terrible.
it is off by default, and you have to enable it.
Yeah.
But
Correct,
people like turning it on, and they're
Yeah,
like,
and I'm
Yeah.
like, that's terrifying. And he's like, how's it terrifying? And I gave him a whole ramble about how people are
hey, is
following
anyone
you.
gonna go to the Winter Ball?
Probably not.
Nah.
It's great. It's $10.
It's $10.
there's a cash bar.
Cash bar.
Cash bar.
Wow.
Wow.
Microtransactions. You gotta spend $10 and then more money.
What's,
Okay,
what's
so
what's it?
I have it's 116, but on a completely unrelated note, I have Summit Park Mall Google alerted on my phone in case any news about the Summit Park Mall comes out.
Yeah?
And this is what Google alert Summit Park Mall, Bobby. What?
Show me.
This
Wait.
is the Google alert for Summit Park Mall. It notified me because Summit Park Mall, Senator Al Franken accused of sexual assault by LA model and radio host. That has nothing to do with the Summit Park Mall. But what happened was
I guess-
it's NPR, and NPR probably has in their related field, like or unrelated, just on their page somewhere, it
Yeah.
mentions a story that mentions the Summit Park Mall,
Yeah?
and it keeps popping. So now, like,
I guess
great.
that came up.
Apparently Al Franken's at the Summit Park Mall.
Al Frank said this
man.
while he's busy, doing that
So
stuff.
this has been a really long show today.
It has
Seven
been.
This
minutes.
has, we got a bit of a tangent about
Well,
that.
it has to be double length because we're not here next week.
Oh,
because
let's
it's
go
Black
till 2
Friday.
o'clock.
Yeah!
Wait.
Who's ready to fight for a cheap electronic?
I'm going to go shop on Black Friday.
Get a Nintendo Switch.
Why?
Kill for
Oh yeah,
Nintendo
wait, are they
Switch.
gonna be like deep cut on sale? Because
I don't know.
like I should see. I'm gonna have to check.
Did you
out the
get
Black Friday ads.
your packet?
No, it hasn't come in
Hasn't
yet.
come
Would you
It might just not come in. I haven't checked that email that I use. They probably like we don't have any more.
Would you hip check an old woman for a Nintendo Switch?
No.
I'm wondering how hard you're gonna fight for it.
I'm not gonna fight anyone. I'm the one who's just like, as all the fightings. You know that guy in every movie, like Neville Longbottom at the end of Harry Potter, the second one, where he just like, oh man, and like there's like people flying through the air and he's just like walking, and like everything is exploding, and he's just walking with the sword, and like no one's gonna fight him.
Or like Mr. I think it's Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs, who's just hiding under the stairs while they're shooting each other.
Yeah, I'm not even hiding on the stairs. I'm just walking through, and
Yeah.
everyone's murdering each other.
I,
and, like,
The Switch is gonna be a huge Christmas thing. Like, so many children are gonna get Switches for Christmas. I can see it already.
Nintendo, folks.
Back in my day, Switches meant something different.
Yeah. Back in my day, we didn't
Okay,
know Mario
Can we talk
could.
about that? Like,
Wait.
if this was put,
We didn't know Mario could take you over with a brain parasite in his hat.
there's
Oh,
a
jeez.
okay. Here's the
Well,
thing.
I mean,
Like
Suffer
you just said,
me now.
kids are gonna be getting a lot of Switches come Christmas. Back in the olden days.
Yeah.
You know what a Switch is, right?
no.
Okay.
Yeah.
They used to. When people, so if you're saying your kids are getting Switches,
It's-
Your kids are getting the Switches.
It's not that. It's the other thing.
they're getting the Nintendo Switches.
Which I figure are less painful.
Man, it's not just for
Until
kids.
you
too.
get to the
thing's great.
microtransactions.
Like, I can't say enough good things.
Everybody's getting Switches. A Switch for you. A Switch for you.
I can't say enough good things about this because, man, it's really
That's
good.
why I said when it all explodes, Nintendo's just gonna
Yeah.
be there. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Hey.
me.
It's a me. I control your brain with my hat. Suffer me now.
Stop it. Why?
I like the fact that everyone was really excited over the fact that Bowser compliments you if you wear the
Yeah,
wedding.
if you change your outfit
You're
near
right.
the end of the game, he says different things.
Yeah, if you wear the wedding dress, he compliments it. He compliments it. Like
It's-
Bowser confirmed by 2017.
Minute.
Hey!
Lord.
Is there any other news to talk about?
I don't
I mean,
know.
I could find something very easily, but
This
like,
is-
I don't know how long you guys want to go.
This is-
so-
Forever.
This is turning into a double LP length thing here.
Are we still going? Are we gonna keep going?
Yep.
I don't know if we're gonna bail here or not.
Oh, Tumblr. I'm finally reading this email, and Tumblr's like, "Where have you been?" Because I haven't been on Tumblr for over a year.
Really?
I wouldn't touch it for a year. I wouldn't touch Tumblr
My
ever.
Pepsi Pass items have shipped.
Really?
11/14.
Ooh,
They're on their way.
you should definitely consider picking up a Switch.
Or I could sell all
Just
the
as
items
a-
to make money.
You could, but I would definitely consider picking it up because it's a great console. Great platform.
Am I the only one who finds it disturbing that Mario takes over people's brains?
Well, it's not like
I know, but you
Ish.
know what I'm thinking. You know I'm thinking about the brain parasite hat.
it's super cool though. You throw your hat at a frog
And override their free will.
You throw your hat at a frog, you become a frog with a mustache. It's great.
Yes, and take
It's
over their
10-10.
mind.
Game of the year.
10 out of 10. Would brain parasite again.
What is this, Futurama?
Hypnotoad, folks, the #1 show in America.
Man, Netflix removing all the good shows.
What?
They're gonna be taking Always Sunny off in December.
Boo!
This is
Boo!
why I don't. Netflix is also raising their prices.
Are they?
Boo!
How much?
To, I think $1 higher for their regular and like.
Didn't they already
2
do
or
that?
3.
Or are they doing it again?
Oh, maybe they already did it.
Maybe
I
they
don't. I
did.
don't know. I don't have. I'm just waiting because come December, although it probably won't be done by December. No one knows when the release date for Man in the High Castle is, season 3.
Waiting
But,
eagerly.
Oh man,
That's on Amazon.
Man in the High Castle's on Amazon, and that show is
good.
so good.
I started watching on Hulu last night. Brooklyn Nine-Nine with
How
Oh,
is it?
Bobby.
It's
Okay, I'll
funny.
see you in 20 years.
It's really funny.
I'll see you in 20 years.
Oh, man. Ah.
It's not. There's only 5 seasons.
Oh, I still never saw the last minute and a half of Ruby.
Really?
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
It never downloaded.
I haven't watched Rooster Teeth in God knows how long.
They just had a few days ago. They had in theaters Laser Team 2, and it's gonna be on YouTube Red on Wednesday. So I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah.
Laser Team 1 was so dumb.
Speaking of theaters, you guys see Thor Ragnarok?
I have not seen
No.
Thor.
I
No.
have. I have.
How is
It's
it?
funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Here's
funny.
the deal with Marvel. Remember when Marvel used to be like when Iron Man came out and it's like, oh man, this is so cool. Like it just had like it had a touch of humor in it, but it was like just really cool.
Yeah.
And then like Guardians of the Galaxy came out and they said, oh,
Every movie
we'll just
needs to be-
everything needs to be funny. Lol. Lols, guys.
Wow, Deadpool was a good movie. We gotta make
Deadpool-
Suicide Squad funny like Deadpool.
Oh, that was.
Well, Deadpool technically isn't owned by Marvel Studios, right? It's owned
no,
by.
it's not.
But here's the deal.
Yeah,
Like,
and also I'm looking forward to
Thor
that second one.
That's always what I always thought about Thor. Thor was funny. Thor was the funny character. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thor was the funniest. Oh, that Thor.
That Thor.
Oh, I'll have another. Boom. Oh, that Thor.
But
He cut his hair off. Oh man.
Yeah.
Did you see? So Blake Shelton was named sexiest man alive this year,
why wasn't
No.
I named Sexy?
and like everyone.
Why
was
wasn't
like,
I?
Everyone was looking. They're like, there's so many other people you could have picked for sexiest man alive.
Like me.
and someone like they said, I think it was People Magazine decided sexiest man alive, and they're like, People Magazine saw the internet's reaction to Jason Momoa standing in waist deep water, shirtless, and they said, yeah, Blake Shelton's totally the sexiest man alive. Like the guy that's as opposed to the guy playing Aquaman, who apparently the entirety of Twitter just like lost their minds over, or so I've heard.
So I've heard.
Is,
You're not hiding anything, aren't you, Nico?
That looked like the guys who are supposed to be on the show.
are
but
they
they're-
gonna be?
I don't know.
Should we
What?
leave?
Wait, who's supposed to be on?
He gave us a
Patriot
look.
Hour, he
They
gave us
haven't.
a look.
They haven't done their show in a while.
Yeah,
Tell them to come
so,
in.
Should we-
Yeah,
should
wave
we-
them in. Wave them in.
I'm not
we
gonna
leave
wave
then?
them in. We're just gonna leave.
All right.
For
Well,
Niagara 124.
it's been a good time.
We'll be back in about not a week, but
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in 2
YOLO.
weeks, folks. For Niagara 124, and this will be up. Well, hopefully it'll be uploaded when we
whenever
feel like
I
it.
feel
Uploaded
like
Whenever
Nico
we
gets
feel
to
like
it.
it. Remember to like and subscribe the YouTube channel. Also, those concerts will be coming eventually. But
Yeah, dog.
Yeah,
Don't
Don't
like or
shizzle.
subscribe to us.
yeah,
Don't listen to us. We don't exist.
We don't
Like-
get money from YouTube.
like
so it
and
doesn't matter.
subscribe the YouTube channel for Niagara
Well,
124. I'm
YouTube
Joe,
doesn't pay us.
I'm Nico.
I'm Bobby.
and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
All our videos are monetized by the free music I put in there.
Happy Thanksgiving.